Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Thriving in 2020 show. We're super excited to have you back. And today I am really excited to have a conversation with Jasmine Green. Jasmine is a seven-figure sales coach and business mentor who helps online experts on how to create multiple six figures months and over $50,000 months by being who they are and sharing the gifts with the world through high-end programs and services. And Jasmine, ever since moving her business model to the online space in 2018, she has helped several entrepreneurs create multiple six figures in the coaching and consulting and service-based industry. And I'm excited to have this conversation because while we're doing this interview, we're in the midst of this whole coronavirus thing going on. And I feel like a lot of people are looking for answers right now, especially people who may have their jobs put in jeopardy because of what's going on. So Jasmine, like with you here, I would love to just like tap into your minds to talk about like how we can take advantage of the online space and create something that is like, bulletproof from everything that's going on out there. And, I'm really honored to have you, and thank you so much for being on here today.
Oh, this is a highlight of my day. I've been looking forward to this for a really long time, but this is a wonderful question because a lot of people right now they're having fear-based conversations and conversations that really don't contribute to their word. I always say all we have is our word, and you made a word to change lives. You made a goal to reach your goal for 2020. And right now, and we're in the middle of quarter one. We're at the top of 2020. So right now, people have shifted the conversation to how can I achieve my goals? How can I create massive impact to, well, where the toilet paper at? You guys know where the water is, what's going on, what's happening. And so I feel like right now more than ever is your opportunity to stand out as an industry leader, being that you're moving the conversation from fear-based to solution-based. There's so many people right now that now, because their job is letting them work from home, they're like, shoot, I love waking up from my house. I love working from home. I got my little dog right here. We good. They want to keep that same energy. So you might be somebody that can help them position themselves to create extra income from home. We need to have those conversations, not conversations about, oh my God, the Fed, and oh my God, Trump, and all of these things that aren't really productive. The only thing that those conversations are producing is fear. So we really want to get to a habit of making sure that we are offering solutions and value to the people that are looking to us right now. This is a perfect time to do that.
Oh my goodness. I love how we jump straight into this interview with so much powerful insights. And you're absolutely right. Like, to be completely honest, like I have to say, I almost got caught up with this whole like fear going on, spreading rampant across the news. Like I was almost caught in that, and I catch myself just kind of starting to feel like demotivated. I didn't even want to like get up and do work anymore. But I shifted my focus immediately because I realized like this is really the time for people like us to step up and just like create something out of this whole mess. So Jasmine, I want to go back in time a little bit with you. And obviously, like we talked about this before we went on camera. You didn't just become a seven-figure sales coach and business mentor overnight. Like what really started all of this for you? Like what was the inspiration that created this whole entire journey for you?
Oh my goodness. I really don't want to get emotional at all about this, but this journey has been absolutely thrilling in every sense of the word. So no, I didn't wake up one day and just say, hey, I'm going to be this or I'm going to do that. It was really a process. So one thing that's really I'm being inspired to say right now, and I don't know who needs this, is to give yourself grace in your journey. I really want you to give yourself grace in your own journey. Because mine, I didn't start here. Honestly, I didn't come from a family that had money. We were lower middle class, if that's a thing. I was raised by my grandparents. We're talking about people that survived the Great Depression. So I'm over here ready for whatever the C word is going to bring. But I always knew even as a little girl, like I always knew that there was something. I didn't know what that was. And so many of you right now, you have that inkling or that inspiration that you are designed for something more. You just don't know what it was. So I didn't know either. So of course I tried different things. Another thing people do is they prevent themselves, they don't give themselves permission to try different things. So I tried different things. So I was like, when I was in college, I was a med school major. I actually got accepted into med school, but I couldn't move forward because it didn't make me like, it didn't do anything for me. I was keeping that dream that when I was 8 years old, people put into my head, well, little girl, you should become a doctor, or little girl, you should become a nurse. And so I killed it in the sciences. I was really good in school. And so I said, okay, I'll do that. Made it all the way until the application process. Like I said, I got accepted, couldn't do it. So many things transpired in my life. I hit really low points. My early 20s, like I'm 29, I'll be 30 in October 2020, if you're listening to this far in the future, okay? I've gone through really tough times, like, you know, homelessness, just not, oh my gosh, like my identity was cracked. I just didn't know who I was. But I always knew something told me, you're here for more, you're destined for better. So I always held tight to that. So of course I got into working, the regular 9 to 5 life. A friend of mine and her husband had got into selling insurance, and they were saying, you can make 6 figures with insurance. And I'm like, oh yes, I want to do that. So I got into the finance field, and I launched the financial services company, annuities, investments products, insurance policies, all that. Killed it, like literally killed it. And I was like, okay, maybe this is my thing. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. But I was so unhappy. I was so unfulfilled. Oh my gosh, it was just boring, robotic, and I didn't feel like I was really creating the impact that I yearned for. So we did very well, actually scaled that company to 5 million. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to go down in the books for the girl who had a financial services company. It wasn't cool enough. It wasn't sexy enough. And honestly, it just wasn't in my heart to do. So I started following like online marketers such as Danielle Leslie. I love her. If she's listening to this, girl, I love you. You know, people like Dan Henry, you know, all these online, online marketers. And so I said, well, how can I take what it is that I know what I'm good at, and how can I infuse that into an online business model? So 2018, I said, you know what? I'm going to stop this. People thought I was crazy. They said, how could you, something going so well for you, why would you kill it? I'm all about intention. Everything that I do, I have to be fully aligned and feel good, because the money doesn't matter. You can literally have a lot of money and still be depressed, still be upset. I'm sure some of you guys know that there, and I really don't like to bring light to this, but a lot of high level people, they end up, they do take their lives because they're just not happy. So the money isn't the thing really, it's the fulfillment and how what you do make you feel. So that was my reason for letting that go. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I had no attachment to it. So I moved my business model online in 2018. I started out with a stock market program. When I put that out, it went bananas. Like everybody was eating it up like I was IHOP or something. Like it was amazing. And again, I got hit with this, well, I don't want to be known for this. I really don't. I mean, it was natural for me to start with something finance-based, being that I had that company. But that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I honestly took some time off. I made some money, for savings, took some time off just to kind of figure this out. And I remember one of my best friends, she has a really huge brand, and she came to me and she said, I'm so sorry about that. Okay. Oh my gosh, I have no idea how to mute my notifications on this thing. I'm so sorry. But she came to me and she said, I just don't know what to do with my business. So I was pouring into her, hey, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. She returned to me 2 weeks later and was like, look, No, a month later. And she said, I did $14,000 because of what you said.
Wow.
So thank you so much for that. And she said, you have a gift. This is what you need to pursue. You need to, and I helped her with sales. It was just really the sales conversation, because in insurance, you have to be good at talking to people. You have to be good at sales. And it just came to me naturally. So I was like, girl, no, I don't want to do any of that. It's too much responsibility. I can't teach people how to do what I do. I don't know how to do that. So I had so much resistance. Like I was like, no, 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 no. God in the universe was like, girl, listen, this is in your face. I'm telling you what to do. So I finally broke down. I surrendered. I finally broke down and I started taking on clients, just like under the table, nothing too major. But these guys started making some really insane results. They started getting really crazy numbers, and it built my confidence. So what I want to say about that is the journey was so messy. It wasn't a straight line. It wasn't a straight line. It was literally up and down, stop, sink, go up. And it was just so many things that happened of getting to this point. But one thing that I can say is that I gave myself grace. That's so important, that whoever is listening to this, that you give yourself grace in your journey. And then when you are presented full, like front and center with your gift, be accepting of it. Be accepting of it. It's just, I could have probably been started a long time ago, but I had so much resistance. And I would just say, really be accepting of your gift. Take ownership of your gift. And when I was able to do that, that's when inspiration of the how to do, when to do, and all the other things fell in line. So I hope that made sense.
No, absolutely. I feel like, Jasmine, you are speaking directly to me right now. I resonate with every little piece that you just brought up. And, you know, I also started off my journey as an entrepreneur, like just looking for the number one venture that would generate the most money for me. Like, I feel like a lot of like entrepreneurs do the same thing. Like, we get into this, we want the time freedom, we want the financial freedom, and we just hop onto whatever train that guarantee the quickest like path to success or money. And I did that as well. I did network marketing, I did Forex, and did that for about a year, only to like get to a point where I was just like depressed, and my heart like felt that heaviness, that tightness, like something was just not in alignment. And then like I love what you mentioned about like resistance, right? Showing up. So like, how do you personally like navigate around those resistance when they come up? Because like I also been there, like I know what that's like. So how do you handle resistance?
So I always ask myself, okay, where is this coming from? And and I'm not like Aristotle, I'm not super old either. So I haven't been on the earth that long, but I really believe that as human beings, we make decisions based off of two things, whether it's fear or love. So resistance is really coming from fear. What are you afraid of? For me, it was being responsible, quote unquote, for people's success or their business. Because if I'm going to show you how to sell, then you're looking at me like I'm going to be the fix. Yeah. So I had to really I had to make a decision. Either A, I was just going to be unhappy, or B, I was just going to go for it and just do what I was positioned to do. So I'm really spiritual, and I get a lot of divine downloads and guidance. And so it was literally, I was just being positioned, like literally, like you need to focus, like look this way, look that way. And I just got tired of it, just kind of like water on a rock. I was like, you know what? I surrender. And so for me, the first step to getting past resistance is identifying what is that emotion underneath that. For me, it was fear. And once I accepted that my role for my clients is to do my very best, what they do after that point is not on me. So I had to accept that and just really believe that if I show up and do my very best, then all things will work out. So that was my process. So I don't know for you what that would look like in terms of what's driving your resistance. Is it fear? Like, I'm not really sure, but I would just say to make sure you identify that and really understand, where is that coming from? Why am I afraid? Why am I thinking this way? And go from there. It's a process for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that we talk about this first, because like I'm a huge believer in like making sure our foundation, like our inner work is like solid before we move on into like monetizing our gifts, like doing the business logistics piece of the model. Because I feel like a lot of people do it the backwards way. They find a strategy, they find a model that works for other people without doing the foundational work first.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this. Like, you know, I just really recently got clarity in terms of like what my gifts are, in terms of like how to even start a business around what I'm passionate about, what my gifts are. And I know that I'm really good at like really being intuitive in terms of like what's really holding them back, like internally, like in the depths of their like emotions, and I'm really good at pinpointing that for people and helping them to release those like emotional blockages. So let's talk about like how do we transition from, now that we did the inner work, we did the spiritual, like the abstract things that are not so tangible, how do we turn that into like a model, like a business model that start generating money?
So I get excited when I talk about this. So if I'm like going 100 miles per hour, just say, Jasmine, just slow down.
Go edit.
So the thing with that is you have to determine, how do you want to show up in the world? So you're right. So many people, they start backwards. Okay, this is the model. I want to have a subscription-based business so I can make sell a $100 product to 100,000 people and become a millionaire. So that's what they're thinking. But I always say that the very first thing that you start with is, once you know intuitively, or once you've just accepted that these are my gifts, find out, how do you want to show up in the world? So for me, I'm a sales coach and high performance business mentor. So that my gift shows up in the world is really partnering with people to co-create an incredible experience in their business. So that's my thing. So you have to just identify, okay, how do I want to show up? Do I want to be a coach? Do I want to be a teacher? Do I want to be a change agent? Like, how does that look? And then from there, you're able to determine, okay, this is the level of this is like the experience that I want to give to people. Do I want to work with them one-on-one? Do I want to do an online course? Do I want to do in-person workshop, retreats, masterminds? That's where all that stuff come from. And of course, that has a price point. So if you're going to do an online course and it's priced anywhere, I would say, I don't know, $500 to maybe $1,500, then you determine from there, how many people would you like to work with? And then now you have your 5 times, if you have 5 people, 5 times 1,500, and that gives you your number. So I always like to start with, how do I want to show up? What exactly is it that I want to do? How do I want to serve people? How do I want to serve? So for you, you're going to be doing a lot of intimate work. So it's going to be more of a, like one-to-one, one-to-intimate business model, where you're serving people, because you're going to have to offer a lot of yourself to push them forward. It's just going to be like almost a coach, somebody that can hold them accountable and really just guide them. So number 1, find out how you want to show up. Number 2, how do you want to serve? And then you go from there.
Okay. And Jasmine, I really want to take advantage of this time with you here. I want to dive a little bit deeper into this. So for example, for me, right, like I love working with people in that intimate setting. However, I also like my ultimate vision that I see for myself. Like, I don't know if you follow Abraham Hicks, Deepak Chopra, all those like big time spiritual teacher. Like I see myself in doing that type of work more in alignment, instead of doing like one-on-one. Like I really see myself in front of like a huge audience, and just like I have this vision. I see that all of these people sitting in front of me, like their hearts are literally like just opening up. So how do we navigate towards that?
So of course, I'm actually going to an Abraham Hicks workshop, so I'm excited about that. I just know to get picked, okay, for question. All right. So the thing about Abraham and Esther, I'm just going to use them as an example. People know who they are. People know who they are. They're connected to, when they think of channeling, when they think of deep spiritual work, even manifestation, Abraham Hicks pops into their mind. So
Yeah.
you have to, what you're doing an incredible thing right now. You've created a platform to where people can now respect you as a leader, as an authority in whatever space you're choosing to get into. So you would have to definitely begin building that community around you and showing up full throttle as an authority, making sure that your conversations are relevant to that of which you ultimately want to be known for. So if you have a room full of people, this is like a live event, then you're going to have to have folks that know, like, know, love, and trust you so much that they're willing, they're subscribed to your thought processes, they're subscribed to your belief patterns, and they're looking to you. So one-to-one, I understand, you know, a lot of people, they get burned out on that. I enjoy it still. I still have it as a component in my own business. It's high level, but it's still there. You would have to beginning to, you know, start building up your maybe portfolio, getting results, you know, having people fall for you. Oh my gosh, because I worked with her, this is what happened. Start building that momentum, and then ultimately it up levels into your ultimate vision. So you have to start, you may have to begin doing things that really aren't favorable to you initially, but your perspective needs to shift to, I'm sowing seeds into getting that room full of people, because it starts with one person. In order to get like 100, you got to start with one. So you would absolutely need to begin there and make
Yeah.
sure that it makes complete sense and to what it is that you ultimately want to do. So yeah, I would just say start there.
Makes perfect sense. I love that so much. And you know, you're not the first person, like the first speaker I've spoken to on this series that really emphasized the importance of building up your personal brand,
Yeah.
especially with like social media and things like that. So can you quickly give us some tips on like how we can get started
Yeah.
in terms of building that personal brand?
Yeah. So the number one thing is to be the complete expression of who you are. You don't want people to subscribe to something that is not true. You don't, especially that knowing that you are people of integrity. I'm just speaking that because I'm a person of integrity. You are as well. So we want to always remain authentic. So you want to get to a place to where you're really being genuine and you're being honest about your thought processes in your own way. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, even LinkedIn, you need to begin contributing to the conversations that you feel are relevant to your audience. So for me, example, although, you know, a lot of my stuff is sales and the results that my clients do get is like 20,000, 30, 50,000, even 90,000. I had a client do 90K last month. That's how my result shows up. But honestly, my stuff is mindset. I'm confident. So I'm always speaking to how people feel before they even achieve a result as huge as that. So you want to begin to, you got to, you know, make yourself stand out as somebody who's really having those heart-centered conversations about your result that you ultimately want to offer. So building your personal brand, of course, being consistent and just being okay with being yourself. There are people out there that will love you and accept you just for who you are and how you come. You know, it's been people would look at me and think, oh my gosh, it's hard for her. You know, I'm a Black lesbian female, so I have all these things that were, you know, they're designed or intended to bring me down. However, I'm just a full expression of who I am, and people gravitate towards me because I'm comfortable in my skin. So you have to make sure that because you're opening yourself up, and understand that everything that you put out, our subconscious mind is always going. You want to make sure that when you are putting stuff out, you're intentional about the energy of it. You don't want to hurt anybody. You don't want them to subscribe to false things.
Yeah.
So make sure you're just being true. So consistently showing up and making sure that your message is powerful and it's the fullest expression of you. And relevant for sure.
Yeah, and that's really powerful. I'm starting to see this like in the past couple of days, actually, in the middle of like everything that's going on. There's so many people are just so fearful and panicking, and they need answers. So like there are a lot of people on my Facebook that never reached out to me, that I didn't even know were following my posts. They hit me up and they said that like, hey, I've been following you for months. I need some answers. Like I need to know how you stay so optimistic, like things like that. It just kind of blows my mind to see how many people are actually watching. Um, so let's jump into, I really want to know, like, basically I want to talk about the number one things that you personally like witness in the people that you work with. Like what are the biggest things that are really holding people back from creating the results in the business or even starting a business? Like what's really holding people back?
So a lot of people, it's a lot of stuff. It's so loaded, but I will say that people don't, they're looking for outside validation. The vision isn't enough for them to move forward. They're looking for mama to say, okay, baby, that's excellent, go for it. They're looking for the girlfriend to be like, okay, boo, I got 10 grand, let's do it. They're looking for outside validation, but the vision, the fact that you even saw it in your head is, first of all, it's already done. It's already done. Whatever you want is absolutely done. You have to be accepting of that, and just that validation, that's enough. It's enough. So there's nobody else that needs to give you the green light. God or whatever you believe in has already given you that green light. So that's the number one thing. Secondly, for me, within the work that I do, is confidence. A lot of people say, "Oh my God, I can't charge $5,000. I can't. What is somebody going to pay me $10,000 to do? What are they going to pay me $20,000 to do?" Money is really an energy, and I work with my clients on really knowing how to leverage the energy of money and what it really is. So the confidence of knowing that you're invaluable. You are invaluable. I don't care if you had $1 trillion price point. If that's what it is, and that's what it is. Now, I don't know I don't know what client, you show me the client that got $1 trillion, and then we work with that. But your value, you determine your value. And I want you to know that you are absolutely invaluable. So I always tell my clients that, there's really no amount of money that you can put on your head, on your time, your past experience, that's going to make sense. So a lot of people, before they come to me, they are kind of stuck in the low end land where they're charging maybe, I don't know, less than $500 and stuff like that. The biggest thing I hear them say is exactly that. Well, what are they going to pay me that much for? Or my audience is already struggling paying me $500. How are they going to pay me more? So listen, my mind is just going. Oh my gosh. Like it's to me now, I just smile at it, but it's a real thing for you guys. And I totally understand. You just have to, it's ownership. It's ownership. Starting the business is ownership, takes ownership. Scaling the business takes ownership. And just knowing that you have exactly what you need in order to move forward. You don't need the green light from anybody else. Just take that ownership, and the confidence will flow with that. I hope that made sense.
No, absolutely. That's all that I believe in. Like, I think the root cause to everything that you just touch on is the love of self-love that we have for ourselves. And that amount of self-love is really like determined by all the way back when we were growing up, the experiences that we had. And that's still in us unconsciously. And that's something that I'm really I'm going through my own journey of that. And I think that's what I'm passionate about helping people with. So I know that I have to practice what I preach first before I can even support other people on this journey. But yeah, absolutely. That really shows up in a lot of the different ways, from procrastinating, from not wanting to get on a sales call with someone. It's all about that conversation of whether or not we believe in ourselves and our values. So I 100% hear you on that. So Jasmine, this has been a really amazing conversation with you, and I wish I never have to end this, but however, I have to respect your time and everyone here as well. So I love to wrap up my interview with basically some inspiration and some hope. Like I know making a decision to do something like this, like taking a step into the unknown, like going into the online space, can be really scary for a lot of people. But to hear stories from people like you who have walked the path, who have done it, it can be really helpful and inspirational. So why don't you share with us like some of the biggest blessings that you have created for yourself as a result of following your heart's calling, following, you know, what's in here and just like pulling you forward all these years despite the up and downs? Like what have you created so far?
So the biggest blessing for me, and I'm like getting chills just thinking about it, because I'm totally impact driven. I'm all about being in a space with somebody so that they can realize a dream they thought that maybe not this lifetime, maybe the next lifetime.
Yeah.
So the biggest blessing for me is being able to really work with incredible people. Oh my gosh, I love my clients. They are deep in my heart. Being able to push them forward to being a chain breaker for their family, or being the first in the entire generation to do something as huge as making $50,000 a month or $70,000 a month. That changes people's lives. Just that security of knowing that they have money or the resources to put their kids through school. So I would say that is the number one blessing that I've created. It's just that, the people. The second blessing is me evolving into the highest version of Jasmine, because I feel like before we can do or have anything, we must be it first. Like we have to start out being exactly that. And so I've been able to, even though there were times where I didn't have anywhere to live, I was still able to hold the vision of the me that you see now. And I still feel like I have a ways to go, but I've been able to build this woman, build this person, and evolve into the highest version of myself. So that's a second blessing. So, oh my goodness, like it's amazing. And if I can, I would like to say this to anybody who's listening. Get clear on the person that you want to be. And every single day, do something that he or she is amazing at. Do that. If you have better money management, make decisions to manage the money better. If it's better relationships, make the decision to start being that now. You don't have to wait to be the greatest version of yourself. You can be it right now. And that's exactly how you manifest all the things. So I would definitely do that. I don't know. I felt really inspired to say that.
No, absolutely. I that touched me, and that definitely got to me, you know, in a deep way. And that's something that I will implement myself for sure. And I think this is even the best time for people. Like sometimes I love to see, like, obviously the blessings in the midst of everything that's going on. Like this really gives people an opportunity to just take a pause in the way that they've been living their lives, their habits, and completely like stop and kind of reflect on like, is this working out for me? And then to start taking maybe different paths and to completely reinvent themselves. And this is a good time to start like having that the time to reflect and to decide like who do we want to show up moving forward. So Jasmine, it has been such an honor to have you on here. I would love to continue to talk to you even off camera or even stay connected. And I know that our listeners would love to do exactly the same thing. Like after listening to this interview, I'm sure that they would love to stay connected with you. So how can they find you online?
Yeah, so on Facebook, I'm always taking, new amazing Facebook friends. So just type me in Jasmine Paige Green on Facebook, shoot me a request or a message, and I'd love to get to know you better. Or you can join me over in my Facebook group, the Millions Momentum Community. The link I think will be around somewhere. It's kind of like a bit.ly link, but it's bit.ly/Millions Momentum. So I'd love to have you there.
Awesome. And I will include Jasmine's social media links as well as to her Facebook group inside of the same email that the interview went out to. So everyone just go back to that same email and let us know what your biggest takeaways were. Like, we love to hear from you. I know Jasmine would love to hear from you as well. Just reply back, and then you can get access to her Facebook group as well inside that email. So again, I just want to take this time to acknowledge you, Jasmine. Like, I love connecting with people like yourself who have like really follow your hearts, and now not only you have created such an amazing lifestyle for yourself, you are blessing other people with the same, you know, your gifts and your talents, and really inspiring everyone else to go out there and do the same thing. And I encourage all of our listeners listening right now to not only like listen to this and forget about it, but really like go back and listen to it again, and to implement like all the action steps that Jasmine have really shared with us, and go out there and create something amazing for them. Thank you, Jasmine. Do you have any last words for our listeners before we end this?
Oh no, I just thank you for taking time to, you know, listen to my story and to consume me. I really appreciate that. And I really wish the best for you. I'm here to support you for sure. So definitely reach out to me, shoot me a note over to Facebook. And I love to help you out.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys take care, and we'll see you on the next interview. Bye.